ever since it was officially announced by Henry Cavill that he will no longer be playing Superman and that James Gunn's new universe will start out with a Superman movie featuring a much younger Clark Kent, there's been a lot of backlash directed towards James Gunn and Peter Safran. A lot of, I guess, Snyder fans and I guess fans alike really upset and disappointed because they really wanted to see more of Henry Cavill's portrayal of the character after the post-credit scene in Black Adam. And I find it kind of silly, specifically with like the hashtag fire James Gunn or hashtag boycott WB on Twitter, because a lot of this disjointed mess of a universe, with like actors coming and going and directors and continuity mishaps, it's all on the fault of the previous regime, because I've seen some people be like, oh, he's doing worse, James Gunn's doing worse than Walter Hamada, but like, Walter Hamada didn't want to use Henry Cavill as Superman either. Walter Hamada, I don't know what he was trying to plan up for the DC universe, and it just goes to show that the DC universe, ever since like they tried to meddle with Batman vs Superman, has always been in a state of just not. It just hasn't been a well cohesive universe that I feel like best portrays the potential of what we could have gotten. We could have gotten a universe on par with Marvel, and so I think that the alleged reboot, considering the fact that if you're going to recast Henry Cavill, a lot of people are suspecting you might as well just recast the whole Justice League, because more than half of the Justice League actors probably won't continue playing the character after next year. Henry Cavill's already out. Ray Fisher fell out with Warner Brothers a long time ago. Ezra Miller's a Psycho, and Jason Momoa wants to play Lobo. So I guess the only ones that haven't been 100% confirmed are Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck. But it's like, if most of your Justice League is already out, you might as well just do clean slate and hard reboot. And I think that is the best direction for the DC universe going forward. I think, starting with not an origin story, but like I guess a slightly younger tale of these characters leading up to a Justice League movie is what it should have been in the first place. And I think that having like movies, like say you have like a Wonder Woman movie or like a Flash movie with like new actors, I think this could bring in a lot of opportunities and elements that probably weren't even considered in the previous universe. Like, for example, let's say you have like a new Wonder Woman movie and a Flash movie, you could bring in their sidekicks. Wonder Woman 3 or whatever could bring in like Donna Troy, and the Flash movie could introduce like Wally West. And then you can have like different films or projects featuring these characters with their sidekicks leading up to like a Teen Titans movie. And I think that'd be really cool, because there's been one other live action adaptation of the Titans, but not the biggest fan of that show. I think they made some really weird decisions with its writing and the characterization of its cast. But yeah, you could do like an Aquaman movie featuring Aqualad, or a new Batman project with Dick Grayson as Robin, and then you could have that lead up to a Teen Titans movie. And they would, I guess, beat Marvel in having, I guess, sort of a teen superhero movie, because Marvel as of right now has like a Young Avengers type team, and I think it'd be really cool. And the biggest thing with the new universe, or I guess with a clean slate or reboot, is that they can actually focus on having a more comic accurate, both like in tone and how they're portrayed in live action. Like, for example, Lex Luthor, like, new Superman movie, like, I'm not saying he has to be the main villain, but, his presence should be more akin to, like, let's say, like, the animated series, his more suave, bold, intimidating presence, not this, like, jittery Riddler wannabe or whatever. Or with Wonder Woman, I've noticed, like, a lot of her movies in the DCEU, she doesn't really fight a lot of, like, gods and monsters. I think it'd be really cool, like, if you were to go more, or if you were to hone in more on the Greek mythology aspect, you could see characters like, I don't know, like Hercules, like Circe, you could, like, tie in more in the backstory of the gods, you could have her fight, like, I don't know, like Decay or something. I think that'd be really cool. Like, imagine her, like, the Kratos of, like, the DC universe. I think that'd be really cool. And, I think just overall with, like, let's say build up to Teen Titans or a build up to Justice League, it could just be a better way to build up to crossover event films. Because I think the biggest downfall with the previous DCEU was the fact that they tried so hard and they were way too quick to try to get that Marvel money without the actual patience and proper build-up to make the audience feel connected to these characters. It's like you kill Superman in the second movie in this universe, and then like a couple movies after you do Justice League. It's like it's just like it's too quick, it's too fast, and you're doing like this giant big bag dark side as to try to be like the central antagonist going forward. But it's like this universe is just getting started. So it's like, imagine if the MCU in Phase 1 was doing Thanos. Like, imagine if Thanos was like the Avengers villain, and Age of Ultron or something, or like Avengers 2 would be Thanos. It just wouldn't work. You know, you don't have that payoff of like 10 years of building up to this moment. But I guess on the brighter side, if they were to do with this reboot, which it is needed, you could have, since, you know, like, they're recasting Justice League most likely, you could have a slightly different lineup and have a Justice League that we probably should have gotten in the first place, you know, with the inclusion of, like, Green Lantern, I think, like, Jon Stewart, and maybe, like, Hawkgirl, you know, kind of akin to, like, the Justice League animated series. Like, because my lineup would probably be, like, the Trinity, you know, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Jon Stewart, Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, and I actually like these two with Green Arrow and Black Canary. You know, it seems like Green Arrow could have a big presence in the DC universe going forward, and I would like to see him more included in the universe. Another key element of the DC universe that hasn't really been explored much in live action, but should have, is, well, the Green Lantern Corps, and it seems like James Gunn, like, you know, he stated in a tweet before that Green Lantern is one of the big, I guess, elements, one of the big focuses on the DC universe going forward, which is a good idea, because I think the Green Lantern Corps could add a lot of, you know, the sci-fi kind of like space element to the DC universe that is needed, and, you know, you can introduce a lot of characters through there, and, like, you know, if you wanted to, you could have, like, you know, Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart. You could have like one Green Lantern, kind of one human Green Lantern up in space, while another one is kind of on Earth with like Justice League Matters, and then obviously you have like Sinestro and whatnot. Well, the thing about the whole reboot thing is that I understand that it is messy, you know, kind of getting rid of like previous actors or storylines that were actually really beloved by fans and were anticipated to see more of, like, you know, like Ben Affleck's Batman movie or, you know, future Superman film. But I think just how unorganized it was previously, because it's like, imagine being in James Gunn's position where you have to create an established universe, but you also have to make sure you keep what works and get rid of what didn't. Because it's like, imagine if they still kept all of the actors. It's like, I don't really see Ben Affleck playing Batman like 10 years down the road. Yeah, it's just something I don't see. And in my opinion, there were already a bunch of weird casting decisions already in place. So I think this would be a good way to actually get in actors who will properly, you know, I guess, portray the supposed character. Kind of like, you know, Jared Leto's Joker, or like Jesse Eisenberg, Lex Luthor, Ezra Miller Flash. I was not a fan of any of those castings. There's been some good ones though, you know, like Henry Cavill, or a lot of the Suicide Squad characters, which I'm not even sure are gonna get recast. You know, I guess we'll see down the road. But I think the future of the DC could look brighter. You know, a lot of fans upset, understandable, but I think their anger's being a little misdirected. You know, instead of, you know, so quick to hate on James Gunn, because we don't even know what he's cooking up yet entirely. We don't even know what his first few projects are. We just know that it's a new Superman film with a new actor. You know, it's like, hey, you know, none of this would be happening if one of us had decided to utilize Henry Cavill more in the past, and if we had gotten a proper interconnected universe without, you know, getting rid of like Zack Snyder or actors leaving and whatnot. So, but yeah, I do think a reboot, you know, solid clean slate is what's best for a brighter future for DC.